The talks between the LCBO and its 9,000 unionized workers are nearing a deadline. The union says it will strike if there's no deal by midnight tonight. Our senior reporter, Mike Crawley, is outside an LCBO location on the Queensway. Mike, what's the latest on these negotiations?
Well, Dwight, the two sides are still talking. I was in touch with LCBO management and the union. That's the Ontario Public Sector Employees Union. Yesterday, all through the day. Last I heard from an OPSEU person was quite late last night, 10:30. And today, the most recent statement from the union is that the two sides are far apart and they've got a hard day of bargaining ahead. But honestly, we have been here before with LCBO bargaining. It has had a tendency to go right up to the last minute before a deal is reached. In fact, since 2009, 3 of the last 4 rounds of negotiations, there wasn't a deal to avert a strike until the very last day. And I must say that there has actually never been a strike in the history of the LCBO.
So, Mike, walk us through what happens then if there is a strike.
Okay, so the LCBO management says that they will close all of the more than 600 retail stores, like the one you see behind me, across the province, and that if the strike drags on, they would not be able to open any retail stores until 14 days into the strike. And then at that point, they'd only open about 30 stores around the province and only for Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays on limited hours. But we're not there yet. And also, if a strike does happen, a lot of the other stuff that the LCBO does would still continue. So distribution to bars and restaurants, for instance, and also, you'd be able to still buy retail alcohol at places like the supermarkets that are licensed to sell beer, wine, and cider. The beer store remains open, as does the LCBO convenience outlets. Those are the kind of small town places that are in parts of rural Ontario, attached often to grocery stores or convenience stores.
Now, Mike, you mentioned this is new territory for us. There's never been a strike in the LCBO's history. So why could it happen this time?
Well, Dwight, really what's looming very large over these negotiations is the Ford government's plans to dramatically expand the number of places that will be allowed to sell booze. So that's the convenience stores. You're going to have 8,000 convenience stores around the province able to sell beer, wine, and those ready-to-drink cocktails come Labor Day. And so this is the government's pitching this as the biggest change to Ontario's retail alcohol market since the end of Prohibition. And the LCBO workers are concerned about the impact that that's going to have on their jobs. So that's making job security a really big issue in these negotiations. The LCBO union is asking for a greater severance pay for the workers if they should lose their job, and they're looking for some protections against the possibility of LCBO stores closing if the alcohol retail market dwindles and there's less business flowing into LCBO outlets themselves. I spoke about this with a professor at Carleton University who's also a wine writer, and here's what he had to say about the potential impact of a strike.
One of the dangers is that if the strike goes on for very long, that people get used to going to other places, so that when the strike is over, the business doesn't just flow back to the LCBO automatically.
And for what it's worth, Professor Rod Phillips there also said that he thinks there's quite a strong possibility of a strike happening, despite the fact that there's never been an LCBO strike ever before.
Mike, we can see over your shoulders folks go in and out of that location. How busy is it there? Does it look like folks are stocking up?
Yeah, definitely people stocking up. This place has been open since 9:30 this morning. The LCBO stores around the province opened up quite early to allow for the possibility of more business than usual. Here's what a few folks had to say when we spoke to them. Hey, sir, just asking people how they're preparing for the possible strike.
Stocking up. Wait, I just heard about it in there.
Yeah, midnight tonight. So.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Yeah, just getting stocked up then.
Stocking up, I think. Yeah. But I guess not very worried about it, especially because the grocery stores, they sell beer, so I think I'm I'm okay with that. I kind of support the cause. So
What strikes? Not preparing.
A lot of locations are open until 10 p.m. tonight. That's just 2 hours ahead of that midnight strike deadline.
Yeah, it seems if you're a spirits drinker as opposed to a beer drinker, you're a little less worried if you're a beer drinker. Thank you for that, Mike.